First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying money to help my brother after he told my son this? So, when I was 19, I got pregnant with my son, and his dad bailed after fighting with me wanting to go through with the pregnancy. My family told me straightforward that they will not pay a penny nor become responsible for my son, and that I needed to get a job as soon as possible so I can afford my own place. During my stay, I was treated poorly. I was pregnant, working, and wouldn't eat/wear/use anything unless I'm paying for it. My parents were awful to me, and they were doing this to me to get back at me for my decision to keep my baby at the time. My brother was treated like the golden child. He was worshipped in every way, and his wife was the lady who got a special treatment because she was pregnant with their grandbaby. At that point, I knew my son will be treated poorly if he grows up around them. I moved out when my son was 5, after my brother was visiting my parents' house, and he yelled at my son for playing and told him that I should have terminated him and that I would have saved the whole family all this headache. He said this within my earshot, and I decided to move out after everyone defended him, and I went no contact with him. I was able, and from the help of my work, to get my own place and pay mortgage comfortably. My son is 7 years old. I'm now taking courses at the academy to improve my knowledge/skills and of course my salary. Luckily, I have met wonderful people that treat me nicely and respect me as a person and as a mother. I don't see much of my family, just mom. Should visit regularly, and I appreciate her for that. My brother sold his house and got a rented apartment to save money for paying for construction machines and starting a business. That was 2 years ago, but he failed and is now stuck paying rent and taking care of his kids. My mom said he's devastated and broken. She said she felt sorry when he was crying and blaming himself that his family went through this. She told me the whole family is raising money to help his situation out. We started arguing when she didn't like my response and said that family is family no matter what. She said that despite everything, he is my brother and that I should at least feel sorry for his poor kids. I called her unreasonable to try to get the kids involved to get me to empathize with his situation. I told her that the family didn't do that when I needed help, and I was literally paying for everything back then. She said she wouldn't visit me anymore if I choose to be this cruel and selfish, and now she's calling, wanting me to meet my brother so we can talk. But I feel hesitant, especially since they brushed off my feelings like that. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents and brother were unreasonable and cruel, and now they expect help? Screw that. You're fine. They can cry crocodile tears elsewhere. I love how mom says to think of his kids when the brother told her to terminate her son with him present, and they all defended him. F that. Not the a-hole at all. Ever. Think of his kids, but not your son? What the actual F? You don't need this favoritism in your life. Not the a-hole. Say this to your mom. Mom, I get that you think I should help brother financially, but I'm not willing to do that after the way he treated me and my son. I forgive him, but that doesn't mean I have to do favors for him either. If you choose not to visit me because of that, I will miss your visits, but I respect that's your decision. That's way too nice of a response. Nice, but you could also point out that you were forced to rely only on yourself and that he should do the same. Not the a-hole. That family is family mentality is toxic and should be thrown in the trash. Your entire family abused you and your son. You owe them nothing. Cut them all off. They don't care nor respect you. Focus on your son and yourself. Find your own family because the one you were born into suck. And you deserve better. Family is family only when it suits them. Tell her you'll help him precisely as much as he helped you. Now for the second story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my kids' college funds with my sister kids? Me, 36 female, and my twin sister Amanda, 36 female, were the stereotypical daddy's girl. We were very attached to our dad. He was a super dad, the most present dad possible without being controlling or annoying. Dad's family came from old money. He is filthy rich, close to billions. Growing up, he spoiled me, Amanda, and my 2 other brothers a lot. We came from a very privileged family. One thing about Dad is that he really loves weddings. He is a bit of a romantic and very traditional in that sense. And growing up, we always remember him saying that he couldn't wait for the day to walk down his little princesses down the aisle. It was a pretty huge thing for him. When my older brother, 41 male, got married, on his 1-year anniversary in 2011, Dad gave him a house as a wedding anniversary gift. It was a pretty huge and expensive house. close to $3 million, and started a tradition in our family. My younger brother got the same thing. When I got married in 2018, my dad was really thrilled about the whole thing. He gave me a blank check for the ceremony. My brothers got the same deal, and it was beautiful. He walked me down the aisle and was really emotional about it. One of the few times I saw him cry. I received a house on my first wedding anniversary as well. When Amy got engaged, Dad was really excited too. 1 week before the wedding, Amy drops the bomb. She was going to walk down the aisle alone. Dad was really sad with this whole thing, but she said that she wasn't anyone's property to be given away, that she was an independent grown woman. True, she is more independent than I will ever be. That this was a misogynistic tradition that she wouldn't want to participate in. Despite Dad begging her, she didn't yield. Dad paid for the whole wedding. She offered him the traditional father-daughter dance, but he refused. His logic was that if you don't want me to act like your father in a traditional way, I won't. Skip to 1 year after the wedding. Dad didn't give Amy anything. When she confronted him about it, he gave her a receipt for a donation of $3 million to the National Women's Law Center. Amy is a lawyer in her name. She tried to argue, but couldn't really say anything. When mine and my other brother's kids were born, Dad started a college fund for each one of them. It's supposed to reach $2 million when they reach 18. Last week, Amy discovered about the funds and asked Dad about it. She has 3 kids, 7 female, 5 female, 2 female. Apparently, Dad has been giving the money that was supposed to go to her daughters to the National Women's Law Center to help other independent grown women like her. Amy is furious at our dad, and they're currently not speaking right now. She asked us, me and our other brothers, to share our kids' college fund with her kids because Dad is a mean C and is punishing her kids. We refused because it's not like our kids are getting the money that was supposed to go to her kids. She is giving us the silent treatment since then. I'm having doubts right now, guys. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Can I be your dad's next daughter? Seriously, I will walk down any aisle in a white dress with him. And I'm a dude. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm on this train. I have no idea what everyone else is smoking, but I don't want it. Opie's sister is picking and choosing portions of patriarchy that benefit her. She called her dad a C-word, which is incredibly misogynistic. If you boil it down to simplest terms, all she had to do was take a 20-second walk with her dad. Opie is not the a-hole. He is a pretty great dad, but I don't think he is accepting new children. Haha. But a crap granddad if he's going to punish his grandkids for a choice their mother made. Their mother is a lawyer, and if it's this rich, I doubt she has loans. Her kids are fine. Man, talk about malicious compliance, not the a-hole. For real, talk about, hey, where's the money for my kid's college fund? I thought you were an independent woman. She's a lawyer. I doubt her kids aren't going to be any less privileged than she was as a child. So, finances aren't really a concern here. She's coming off as a bit entitled since she's mad her dad is no longer an ATM. Not the a-hole for not wanting to share your kids' funds, but you would be the a-hole if you didn't have a chat with your dad and ask if he's being short-sighted, punishing his grandkids for their mother's choices. It's very vindictive, and has made a choice to do that. What if something happened to their dad and they wanted the next best thing, granddad, to walk them down the aisle? Your dad's basically saying he views the innocent kids differently, which means he's causing the damage with the grandkids all by himself. They will know they're seen as less, and he's hoping this will cause friction with their mother, because he reckons they'll blame her, because he can't get over the aisle thing. Which in my mind is stupid. He could have had a dance and speeches, etc. Instead, his actions will likely backfire, but I'm not sure if he cares. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be a dad? My, male 27, brother passed away this past year from infection. He was 34 years old and had respiratory problems and a damaged immune system. He left his wife and 5-year-old son that are currently staying at my parents' house. I'm currently living with my parents as well, ever since my mom got sick. And I help my sister-in-law with whatever I can, especially with money, whenever she asks for it, and since my dad's been having financial struggles. I have absolutely no problem with taking care of my nephews and my sister-in-law's needs. After all, they're family, and they're struggling. I started doing other things for my sister-in-law. She'd have me drop off / pick up my nephew from school regularly, have me take care of any issues at school, and talking to teachers / principal. She'd call me while I'm working to take my nephew to the park, dentist, shopping, and other places. In the past few months, I took care of everything in regard of my nephew, and I felt like I was being handed a huge responsibility and feel like I'm being pushed to do everything, literally everything. I focused less on work, stopped going to see my girlfriend during weekends, and I felt like my nephew became a priority. Don't get me wrong, I love my nephew and we're pretty close. But I'm child-free. Parenthood was never my thing, and I don't know how to be a responsible parent, and I feel like I was put in this situation instead of being an uncle. My nephew's birthday is next week. My sister-in-law sat me down to talk about wanting money for the party, what type of gifts he likes, and asked if I don't mind letting my nephew call me dad in front of his friends. He'd call me dad at home. My sister-in-law would point at me and tell my nephew to call me dad, and I always found that annoying because I felt like I was taking my brother's place, and it was just wrong and unfair. I already told her several times to stop. I even left the house for days to get her to stop, and I hate having to correct my nephew when he calls me dad. My sister-in-law would lie to my nephew about my brother and warn us from talking to him about the subject, saying he'll find out on his own. I even argued with my dad, who said I was being too sensitive and that I should let my nephew do whatever makes him feel comfortable and be more supportive. I told them that I will be moving out before the birthday party and will only attend as his uncle with whatever gifts he likes, and I will do nothing more. My sister-in-law said I was bailing on them in tough times and that I was being inconsiderate and that I shouldn't have started this if I won't continue with it. It's too much pressure and I don't feel comfortable with this at all. She keeps arguing and making me look bad in front of my parents and getting them to side with her. They were fine with my nephew calling me dad and saw nothing wrong with it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. And I'd go a step further by saying that your sister-in-law is not handling this well. And instead of helping your nephew deal with his grief and the loss of his father, she just wants to plug you in to replace him. You need to pull back in a way that your nephew knows it's not his fault and that you're super excited to be his uncle. But you don't want to ever take the place of his dad because you're not his dad. Some play therapy would probably be really beneficial for him to help him process all of this. Sounds like your sister-in-law may need counseling too. She's been accusing me of being unreliable and taking out all her anger on me. What she doesn't understand that I too have a life and responsibilities to handle. She's being completely unreasonable and just expects me to do whatever she wants me to. I too have lost someone I hold dear. I feel like I can't even grieve properly because they won't let me. It's been rough both emotionally and physically, and I just needed to breathe. Not the a-hole. You're his uncle, not his dad. It sounds like your sister-in-law is not handling your brother's death well and is trying to use you to replace him, at least insofar as the childcare. And it sounds like your parents are enabling her. She needs counseling. Sorry you're in this position, man. I hope you've been able to grieve yourself. This started affecting my personal life, my work, my relationships, and I'm physically always too exhausted from having to do everything besides taking care of my mom. It's been difficult, and my sister-in-law is adding to the many issues I have in my hands. Not the a-hole. Don't let him call you dad. Cease all extra activities. You've stepped in and have inadvertently been forced into a father role you never wanted. It's not your job to be his parent. Your sister-in-law has to adapt to being a single parent. You did the right thing. Step back. Focus on you and your mom. Don't be a father to your nephew. Block and delete your sister-in-law's number if you have to. I would even go as far as to sit nephew down and say something to the essence of, "Hey buddy, your dad was a great man and a great father, and I think it might make him sad to think that I was replacing him as a dad in your life. I always love you and will be here for you no matter what. I really want us to develop a special uncle-nephew relationship that is separate from dad so you can have memories from both of us instead of combining us into one person. If you are ever ready, I'm also happy to tell you stories about your dad from when he was younger because it's really unfair that he's not here for you anymore, but I'm sure he'd love it if you knew more about him. Does that sound okay with you?" And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.